So, what we're doing today... What did I put there? Alright, headphones off. Make sure you guys follow along, taking notes, the worth points, the usual. No smiling.
Where's my notes paper at?
So, I don't know. I've got extras in that thing right by you. You need them? I don't know. Is it...
A rhombus, a rectangle, and a square.
There should be right at the very bottom.
Chapter 6?
Yep, chapter 4. So, today we're going to look at some differences between rhombus. I don't know what the plural of a rhombus is. Rhombuses? Rhombi. How many with rhombi? So, we're going to look at the differences between rhombi, rectangles, and squares. So, to be a rhombus, all it takes is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides. And that's all it takes to be a rhombus. So come on, put your phone away, take some notes. So that's all it takes for a rhombus, 4 congruent sides. Doesn't matter what it looks like as long as all 4 sides are congruent.
Next is
rectangle.
Angles.
Angle.
Right?
Oh,
So rectangle is a parallelogram with 4 right angles. So I don't care about the sides, all I care about is the angles.
Nice.
And then a square is kind of a combination.
I don't got this
It
one.
takes 4 congruent sides and 4 right angles. So the thing to keep in mind is, if you have a rhombus, that's its own shape. If you have a rectangle, that's its own shape. But if you have a square, it's also a rectangle, it's also a rhombus. But instead of saying, oh, it's a rhombus and a rectangle, we came up with a new word, square. So, we're going to stick with these mathematical definitions. And to start with, we're just going to look at some of the differences between them. Or actually, sorry, to start with, we're going to say what's what. Is this shape a rhombus, a rectangle, or a square?
The first one's a square.
Well, let's look. Alright, so on this first one,
Rhombus.
let's look.
Square.
So a rhombus takes 4 congruent sides. Does this have 4 congruent sides?
Yeah.
No. What do those little lines mean?
Oh yeah.
That means they're parallel.
Parallel. Congruent is the little dashes. This just means parallel.
Okay, so why? Ugh, that makes me so mad.
Why?
Because
Goki,
they look
did you
like
make
the
these?
exact same.
Yeah.
Yeah, they confuse me too.
Look,
It doesn't matter what they look like. Look
yeah,
at the parts of them.
the things are like the lines.
No, I'm
No,
talking
we're not
about.
very good.
I'm talking about the stupid arrow things in the line. Why are they so much similar?
Do you not see how these are like this?
I get that.
All 3 of them are none except for the last one. Are you kidding me?
No, they're not none. We're classifying each shape.
Yeah,
So
I
this
just
one,
said
it
that.
has 4 right
None.
angles, right?
There's no
That
shape
means
into
it is a rectangle. Spell it right, rectangle. It is not a rhombus because it doesn't have 4 right sides, and it's not a square because square needs to be bold.
What is that one?
It's a rhombus.
Let's look at this one over here.
It's a rhombus.
Alright, so on this one,
Rhombus.
it has 4 congruent sides. It's a rhombus.
That's a dot. That is
I
a
called
dot.
it rhombus.
And do we have 4 right angles in this one?
Do we?
No.
Oh.
So it's
So
none.
it's just a rhombus.
That
Alright,
sounds none.
how about this one down on the bottom left?
That one's a nothing.
It's none.
It's a rhombus.
What the
We don't know
crap?
anything about the angles. But it's got 4 congruent sides, so
I
it's a
believe
rhombus.
this next one is a square.
Rhombus.
You think?
I know. Classify this last one.
Square.
Square.
I don't know, maybe.
No, it's a square.
No, it's a
Or
box. It's
maybe
totally a
I'm sneaky.
box. It's a box.
You're not being sneaky.
No, because no, don't.
It looks the
worry.
exact same as this picture. Up
It's
here.
a square.
It's a square.
How do you know?
God, you guys are so
Because
squares.
look at the angles and then look at the sides.
You guys are so
It's
squares.
congruent
All
sides.
congruent sides, that's part of what it takes for a
And it
square. What's the
has
other
4
part?
right angles.
4 right angles. This one is
Yeah.
a square.
God, you guys are squares.
What are you doing, TT?
You squares.
Does it make
Weird. Alright, this last one is a square. 4 congruent sides, 4 congruent angles.
Why are you gonna cut those headphones
Alright.
in half?
So that was the first part. The second part, we're just going to look at some of the properties of rhombi, rectangles, and squares. So we're going to start with a rhombus. If a shape is a rhombus, then its diagonals are perpendicular.
Perpendicular.
So if you have a rhombus, then when you look inside on the diagonal parts, they are perpendicular, which means they all form 90-degree angles.
Oh my god, it's so cool.
That's a big word.
It is a big word.
And so is parallelogram.
It's also true. So, if you have a rhombus where the diagonals meet in the middle, they are all 90 degrees. All 90.
You sure?
I am.
Are you positive?
100%.
Are you negative?
No.
Oh, that's alright. Sometimes. I'll take that.
And then, if you have a rhombus, each diagonal bisects a pair of opposite sides. Or,
Okay.
let's, we haven't asked it. Skylar, what does bisect mean? Cut in half.
Married?
You ask her
So-
that every time.
Not every time. Pretty sure I haven't asked her
Mostly
that.
every single
Yeah.
I
time.
think I've asked.
You asked me, then Mark, then me again.
That's weird. You guys remember that.
It's weird how you not remember
I
that.
don't know. I ask a lot of people questions.
I can't open.
All right.
Whoa,
So
what's
on
wrong?
this shape,
Third, actually.
you're just a bisect person. You gotta bisect something. Nice from you. No. All right. So bisect means cut in half. So diagonals cut the sides in half. So on this, if I'm looking at this, angle 1 and angle 2 are the same, and angle
No
5 and
crap.
6 are the same.
No crap.
Just got some
So
fresh
1 is congruent to
headphones.
2, 3 is congruent to 4, 5 is congruent to 6, 7 is congruent to 8.
And what's that? Oh, never mind. That one's perpendicular, huh?
What?
You shouldn't have left him.
It's perpendicular, huh? It didn't seem like you moved the thing.
Wait.
Perpendicular triangle.
Those are changes.
Perpendicular.
You down, Connor? Get all this down?
Yes, I have most of
Wait,
them.
I haven't done this yet.
Next page. What to measure the number of angles
let
in
you finish it
rhombus
off.
A, B, C, and D.
So we're going to use these two
One.
things, and we're going to find some missing angles in
Crap.
rhombi here.
3 would be
Rhombi,
58.
rhombuses.
Half
It's
of
not. It's not rumbuses.
58 plus 58.
I'm gonna look up on the internet.
58 plus 58.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's funner to just play around though. I kind of like rhombising. Sounds fun to me.
No, tell me.
Alright, so we're going to use what we know, and we're going to find some different angles here.
3 is 58, right?
It will be 58.
Aha!
So, on rhombuses, rhombi, the opposite corners are congruent, because they're a parallelogram, and remember in parallelogram, opposite corners are
Attract.
congruent to each other.
Okay.
So we're going to find angles 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's start with the easy one. If this little piece right here is 58, opposite side, that's going to be 58 also. So angle 3 is going to be 58 degrees. And let's keep looking. We just said that if you have a rhombus, diagonals cut the corners in half. So if 3 is 58, so is 2. 2 is also 58.
It's rhombi or rhombuses.
Really? Rhombuses is right?
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
it
man.
says.
That sounds ridiculous.
Oh, and number 4 would be 120.
So let's look. All right,
122. Yeah. No,
Okay.
don't see.
So, let's look at angle 1. Angle 1 is right here. What do we say about where the diagonals cross?
It's half.
It's the middle.
That's true. They cross here in the middle.
It's half
But,
of what
what do we know about angle 1? I don't.
It's a vertical angle to the unidentified angle above it.
Well, that's true. That's not really what I'm looking for.
Is it pretty much like the...
All right, let's go back to our notes.
Oh my freaking-
All right, we say diagonals cut corners in half, bisect them.
Crap.
And
Correct.
what about? Oh, its diagonals are perpendicular, which means they make what kind of angles?
180?
Right angles, 90-degree angles, same thing. So angle 1, it's right here. It is 90.
Yeah.
90 degrees.
Impossible.
Call me BG.
Okay, and I still get this angle 4 here, and there's a couple of ways we can find it, but let's do the easy way.
Backyardigans.
So I have angle 1 right here is 90, right? Angle 1 right here is 90.
Done!
Angle 3 is 58. If I look at this piece right here, doesn't this make a triangle?
No, it does
Yeah.
not. No.
How many degrees are in a triangle?
180.
180, which means
Number 4 is 122.
that
I
angle
told you.
4 plus this 90-degree angle plus angle 3 is 58. It's going to equal 180. We can solve it for angle 4, or we can just minus and get what?
What's that?
Yeah.
You ever
So angle 4 is 32.
yawn so much you start crying?
Yeah.
So happy.
What did you do, Ty?
Okay. I know this is just beautiful math time. I know how much you care. What?
My yawning was so severe in science class, it looked like I was actually crying.
Alright, so, no, I didn't have you guys practice that one. I should have made an A class in there. Wow.
Yawn.
You guys did pretty good. Alright, so, we looked at rhombuses. We're going to look at rectangles. So rectangles have 4 90-degree angles, right? In a rhombus, I said rhombuses again. In a rhombus, diagonals are congruent.
Why is there such a big, like the thing that's
Just
covered up?
in case you can't fit it in this little one, I give you more space. So that way you can go like diagonals are.
Wow, I don't like that small.
That's why I gave you more space.
Go back down.
I even used up the whole box with diagonal in there.
Diagonals are congruent.
And
That's what I was
R.
saying. I just wrote it on top because Krista was like, why do you make the boxes so big? That's why I answered.
Well, you don't make all the boxes that big.
I know, but there was a lot to write, so I made it big. So if I'm going to look at this rectangle over here, if I have diagonal AC, it's going to be congruent to diagonal BD, so that you're going to equal each other. So we've talked about rhombuses, and rectangles right in here. The thing to keep in mind, a square is a rhombus and a rectangle, right? So everything we talked about, all these theorems about the diagonals and rhombuses make 90 degrees, and they cut corners in half, and diagonals and rectangles are congruent, it's also true of squares. So if you have a square, anything we've talked about today is going to work for squares.
Cool.
So keep that in mind.
Because rhombuses and rectangles make up squares?
Yep, because a square is a rhombus and a rectangle. So it's both things. So everything we've talked about works for squares.
Oh, is that the square, Golki?
What?
You're a square.
Tip, man.
Wait, what is the definition of square?
It's 4 congruent sides,
You
4
know me?
90-degree angles.
No, I'm like
You
that.
guys are such normies, too.
It's
Scary.
Alright, so if we have a rectangle in here, because angle ABC are right angles, according to this problem here, so we got right angle, right angle, right angle, that's a terrible right angle sign, I'm going to go with it, another one. So, because we have 4 right angles, that means it's a rectangle, and if it has AC is 4x plus 90, DB is 2x plus 35, I can find the value of x because they equal each other. So I just need to go 4x plus 90 equals 2x plus 35, and we're just going to go through and solve.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
So we'll go with Tiana. What's the first thing we're going to do? What's the first thing we're going to do to solve for this?
Check.
Yep, that's minus 2x on both sides. And we're going to get 2x plus 90 equals 35.
Now you have
Juana,
to
what are you doing
minus
next?
90? What the crap?
Yeah, it's going to be a bad example.
We're gonna go minus 90, right?
We are. So we're going to minus 90 on both sides. And our answer is going to be weird because I'm bad at making up examples.
Yeah,
course you
I
are.
agree.
So we're going to get 2x equals, let's see, 35 minus 90 is negative 55.
No,
I
65.
hope so.
Somebody with Desmos, come check it. Krista, what'd you get? That
What?
Desmos right there?
Negative 55.
Negative 55. Negative 55. Alright, what's my last step then?
Hold on, I gotta see this. I think it's gonna be bullshit. 35
60.
minus 90. What the crap?
Something with the 5.
How's it 55?
What's my
What?
last step, Krista?
So you divide it by 2.
What'd you get, Ryan, when you did 35 minus 90?
Negative 55?
Okay.
That's so confusing. How?
Alright.
Wouldn't it be 65?
I think it is
No.
65.
I thought it would be 60. No, wait, no.
55.
No, yeah, 55.
You have
No,
a
I'm
calculator
stupid.
right there on your desk.
I'm stupid. It is 55. It is 55.
Not bad.
So we gotta divide by 2 on both sides. And we're gonna
Oh.
get x
That was
equals,
confusing.
let's see,
Negative 10.
27.5.
not negative 2.
What did you say?
Alright, yeah. I
Oh,
think
negative
22.5.
27.5.
Negative 27 point. 22 point.
And somebody
No.
else
Five,
next to Joe,
yeah.
too.
Oh my gosh,
Is
no,
it
I'm gonna
Caleb
search
this
this up.
still?
Yeah, he sits next to Joe.
I don't. You guys got me doubting now. I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell
it's
myself.
20. It's 27.5. It is 27.5. Negative
Yeah.
24. Yeah.
Alright, we get negative 27.5. Alright.
97.
Just ask me about it.
I'm not.
Alright, I want you to do this one in the box.
Easy.
This time AC is 10x minus 12. BD is 15x plus 53, not 35. Find the value of x.
They're the same.
What?
Goodness.
Is that backloading?
Yeah.
Please.
Do it. Do it. So it's not- Oh my gosh, another decimal.
We'll give it away. Your friends, the backyard again.
Yeah.
The backyard. Who's your favorite pink character?
Who's your favorite pink?
The Mexican.
There's only one pink. That's my favorite.
The Mexican's my favorite. That's
Pablo.
Pablo. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
What was the penguin's name?
Pablo.
Pablo.
Is he Mexican?
Yeah, he's Mexican. That's what they were supposed to make him, which is weird because he's a freaking penguin.
Yeah, how are you supposed to make a penguin Mexican?
And did you know the kangaroo's supposed to be black?
There was a kangaroo.
How do you know this?
Look at it, think of it, the way they act, the way they talk, the way the names are, everything. Think about it.
They probably didn't mean to make it racist like that. It's a children's show.
Yeah, I don't think it's racist at all.
Yeah.
I don't remember them being Mexican at all.
Me neither. Or black.
Anyway, let's go over this since you guys must be done if you're discussing
Oh, wait, I think it was
the racial
-13.
you. That's funny.
kids show.
Kid.
It's on Nick Jr.
Kid.
Alright, we are at Ryan. What's the first thing we're gonna do?
Oh, good. Plus 12 on both sides.
Okay, let's actually equal each other first.
What do you mean?
10x minus 12 equals 15x plus 53.
First
Alright, now what are we doing?
plus 12 on both sides.
Alright, we plus 12 on both sides.
That's why
We
I
have to be careful. Make sure we do the next part right. We can do this. Plus 12 on both sides. We're going to get 10x equals 15x plus 65. What's next, Joseph?
Subtract 60. Never mind. Cancel out the next.
Minus 15x.
Do it
Minus 15x. I did it a different way. So I'm
Yeah, I
confused.
know. It's Ryan.
I was.
Ryan added 12. Normally, I would put the x's together first. You can't do it this way. You just got to be
Isn't that
careful.
the way you're supposed to do it?
10x minus
Through the
15x.
like what's it called? Like
Did everybody forget about Uniqua and this?
What about Shaniqua?
You hush. We're not done yet. Shush.
oh that's Ryan, huh?
Anyway.
Anyway.
Alright, so put your x's together by
Anyways.
minus 15x. Yes. When
Backyard
Ryan
again.
started this a little backwards.
Sheila.
So we're gonna get negative
What do you mean
5x
backwards?
equals 65.
You know what he means.
Normally put your
Ryan.
x's together
There's no
first.
such thing as backwards.
Put your x's together first, then go
It's
from
called
there.
forwards. It's
That-
just
that's
in the
because
wrong
you're
way.
just
Alright,
not
Tyler, what's
following
our
the
last
way you
step?
were taught. You're just trying to be unique.
You
I get unique.
divide
There's
the
tough
I like that
and
one. That's actually a
five
good word. I'll
by
take that.
the x5, and then you do the other side, which is 65 divided by negative
And there's-
5.
It's negative 13.
And what do you get?
Negative 13.
Oh, he just
What do
did
you
his
get,
own
Tyler?
name.
I got 8.2 equals 5.
I got negative 13.
8.2.
Yeah, I did it a different way.
That's why I didn't do that
Same
way.
answer.
No, no.
That's why I didn't do it that way.
Austin.
What'd you do?
Austin.
I did, was it negative, minus a 10x,
Yeah.
so it would be 5, and then negative 12 equals 5x plus 53,
Yeah.
and then you add 53 to the negative
You have a minus 53 on both sides.
What?
Because it's already a plus, so the opposite is minus.
Oh, wait, huh?
Yeah. You use that minus.
It's negative 13.
But that's the way I would have done it.
It's negative 13.
Alright, we got negative 13.
Stop again!
That's why I didn't do it. That's why I didn't do it that way. I got negative 8.5.
Alright, that's it. If you haven't yet, start on this exit ticket.
Oh my gosh, an exit
Here
ticket
guys,
now?
I got you.
Yeah.
Ready for this?
Start on your
no.
exit ticket, and then I'll turn on Scratum in a second, and then you guys start your homework.
I got you guys.
Don't play the song. Turn it on.